Whatever your opinion is about belting, whether you think it's ugly or it's too loud, it doesn't matter because in the real world of auditioning, doing a belt is absolutely necessary. To be more specific, for the roles and shows that you are going for. A lot of my students come to me for this specific reason. And if you choose to mix in head voice or M2, but the director asks you to do a full belt and you can't do it, that can look really bad. And my goal here is to help musical theater performers have a better time at auditions, know how to belt so that they can book their dream show. Because demonstrating that you know how to do a belt when you are asked to do a belt shows that you can take direction. That's it. And I'll give you a personal example on why this is actually true. So I was in New York, and when I sang my song, I actually decided not to belt something for once. I know, because I saw that everyone was mixing and they all sounded so good. So in my head, I decided, well, maybe I should mix too, specifically in head voice M2. But then when I finished my song, I was actually given the note to do a full belt instead of mixing. So what do you think I did in the moment? Of course, you say, yes, I can do it. And then you demonstrate the skill without question. If you show any sign of weakness, fear, or insecurity, that's not a good look. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to create a full belt in a safe way so that you can achieve it the next time you go to audition. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Tina Golden. I'm a musical theater performer and a vocal coach with over half a decade of teaching specifically to singers who are pursuing theater. Before we understand the anatomy and the acoustics to set up the belt, we need to understand what belting is. Belting is usually an M1 to highlight an emotional climax in a song that results in a bright and brassy sound. From that definition, we can decide which mode we want to be in. Now you can belt in M1 or M2. The choice is yours. But it has been observed that in most musical theater songs, and now in most pop rock musical theater songs, you do want to learn how to belt mostly in M1. And I will show you how to do that today. And if you don't know what mode 1 or mode 2 is, I created a full video explaining what modes are. So go ahead and check that out, and then this will make a lot more sense. So the setup for belting is usually in M1, but how do we start practicing singing in M1? But before we go into that, we have to go over the safety measures. Safe belting starts with knowing where efficient singing is. On this diagram, we have a spectrum. We can be in breathy phonation, which means your chords are not fully closed. Therefore, excess air leaks through when you are trying to speak or sing. As we move to the center of the spectrum, you see flow phonation. This is generally where efficiency for singing and speaking is. What it means is that your chords are fully closed and air can flow through without being squeezed. And as you move further down the other end of the spectrum, you see press phonation. What that means is that your chords are pressed together way too much that it causes excess resistance against the breath stream. So when we are belting, we do not want to go to press phonation. Like ever. I call that the red zone. So when I reference red zone, you know what I'm talking about. Now, to continue the topic of safe belting, you need to understand how to control your compression efforts. Compression is anything that happens after your chords are fully closed. If you are someone who are having trouble with belting, don't just start belting a high note over and over and over again and then hoping that it will feel better. It won't. You need to know how to set up your voice. You need to teach your chords how to compress at different levels. And this is where I suggest my students to take their efforts down, and then we slowly increase our effort levels while staying in M1. For example, you can speak the word hey at a level 3 to start, like this. Hey, hey. That is in M1. But it sounds quieter, right? So use that as a reference, okay? Now we're going to increase to effort 4. Hey, hey, a little bit louder. Go to effort 5. Hey, hey. Go to effort 6. Hey, hey. And maybe 6.5. Hey, hey. Great. So you notice that the more compression I applied in M1 results in a louder volume. Yes, that's what happens. But we don't have to exceed that volume to belt. So that is a great way to establish singing in M1, because if your goal is to do a full belt when you are asked to do it in an audition, it generally means they want you to sing mostly in M1. But notice how when I got a little bit louder, I wasn't really that loud. Yes, it was loud, but not so loud. So you can say that I was more in a mixed belt, specifically MX1 belt. All that means is that I am singing with less body of the vocal folds. However, I am still singing with some amount of body. When you sing with more body and you apply a stronger compression, you will highlight more harmonics. And when you highlight more harmonics, you will naturally sound fuller. Next, we can't talk about belting without the acoustics. So generally, you want some brightness and twang. That's really it. I'm going to show you what brightness and twang can sound like when you add that on top of singing in M1 with strong compression. Because without those acoustic qualities, then it doesn't sound like a belt voice quality. It just sounds like you are singing in M1. And then it also doesn't call for that attention that we need in the story of the song. Even as I can't stop remembering how. So did you hear the brightness and the twang in that belt? With the belting setup, you generally want a high back tongue and it is forward rather than a low back tongue because it can really depress the larynx. And then you also need to check in with your larynx too. Okay, generally you do want it to elevate higher than mid position, but if it goes too high, it can become too shrill or too squeezed. So you kind of want to check in with those vocal structures, okay? And if you want to learn more on how to create a more resonant belt, I actually just created a new lesson in my belting course called Tongue Training for Belting. A lot of times we neglect the tongue, even if you have a good amount of compression going on, if you already know how to add brightness and twang to your belt, but you're just kind of missing that spark, the tongue might be the next thing you want to master. So go ahead, check out the link below. That's where you can get my course. And if you want to learn more about what mixed belting actually is, because I only briefly talked about it here in this video, well, I have a full video talking about that. So go ahead, check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.